find out as we're being joined live by the Senior Special Assistant to the Governor on Brand Management and Marketing, himself a public speaker, event compere, what have you. Mr. Raphael Edem joins us on Niger Delta Today. Mr. Edem, you're welcome on Niger Delta Today.
Yeah, thank you very much.
On the program.
It's good to be here. Thank you very much. Thank you.
We've heard of the Arise agenda by the governor, and a lot of people, when they had that name come out, they were trying to associate it with the Dakada philosophy of the former governor, the person of Udom Emmanuel. But then we saw the governor come in and he set sail, and so far there's been commendations as regards his performance in office, although there have been also critical people who believe that some of his activities could have been done better. But then we know that we are in a democracy where everybody has an opinion on issues of governance. But let's look at the Arise agenda, comparing that to the Dakada philosophy of the former governor. What are those distinctive points that you see?
Okay, first off, thank you very much for having me. I think the basis for comparison is a little bit obvious. First off, if you look at the word arise, it's basically the English word for Dakada. And since governance is a continuum, there are quite a whole lot of things, of course. And His Excellency the Governor, Pastor Moino, has stated publicly and has acted also in that direction that a number of things that he inherited from the previous administration are going to continue, because these are things that are being done for the benefit of the people of Akwa Ibom State, irrespective of who is in the office. So the Rise agenda is His Excellency's development plan, one of the most robust, one of the most well thought out development plans by any state government in this country. And it's already very well known what the acronym is for, and the focal points: the agriculture, the rural development, the infrastructure, the security, the education and empowerment, and so very many other things like it's there on your screen. And we have seen this come to the fore in the activities that His Excellency has actually been engaging in through his leadership and his administration over the past almost 2 years now. It will be 2 years by May of this year. We have seen this come to play in the different areas where he has touched life. We've seen His Excellency adopt a governance approach that shows that he came to government prepared, very sensitive, very proactive, and of course working as much as possible to ensure that most of the people in the lower economic rung of society get priority. Like he talks about the fact that he adopts a bottom-top approach towards development, and we've seen that also at play in the different things that has been done, in the area of education, in the area of empowerment, and also seeing how we can continue from where the previous administration stopped. I think we've been lucky in Akwa Ibom State to have had almost a successive unbroken chain of people who have come into office with an excellent blueprint to develop the state. And we've seen how this trajectory of development has worked in our favor. From His Excellency Architect Obong Victor Atta, 1999 to 2007, laying the foundation, drawing the blueprints, doing a whole lot of the groundwork, and also setting in place a number of initiatives that are still to the benefit of our state till today. His Excellency the now Senate President, Senator Godswill Akpabio, in his Uncommon Development Drive from 2007 to 2015, also accelerating the economic development conversation and making Akwa Ibom one of the places where everyone in this country began to take note of. And then, of course, His Excellency the immediate past governor, Mr. Udom Emmanuel, taking it a notch higher and seeing how we can bring the private sector into government, create opportunities for people to see how we can get more people gainfully employed and reduce the number of people who depend on government, basically, running the Dakada philosophy, as it were. And then His Excellency Pastor Moino also coming with their Rise agenda. And we have seen all of the work that has been done in education, in new lease of life for schools, in healthcare, looking at how we can develop the primary healthcare, not just infrastructure point of view, because that is important, but also bringing in also the kind of personnel that you would need so that people don't have to go too far for them to be able to access healthcare. In the area of empowerment also, a number of young people being prepared, being trained so that they can play a critical role in the current economy of the country, of the state. And we have seen, of course, seed monies that have been given in initiatives, the Ibom-led, because there are a good number of people that get into business just because they want to make money. A good number of them have not been sufficiently prepared to get into the business environment. So we have people who mentor them, who teach them. We have people who show them the things that they should do. And we have those who come to share experiences from them so they could also learn and be better investors in whatever that they get themselves involved in. So practically every area of human development, you could see that the Rise agenda has actually catered to the needs of of the people of Akwa Ibom State in almost every single area. There's a focus on agriculture. Of course, also dedicating first and third Fridays of every month as farm week for farm days for people to be able to go back to the farm, encouraging us to see how we can produce the basic staple things that we actually consume here in this state. And especially the last administration showed that a number of the things we thought you could not actually cultivate and thrive in Akwa Ibom State, there are things that can actually do happen here. So the expectation is that the populace, the citizenry would key into their rights agenda, whatever area of their rights agenda actually they would be interested in, and see how they can work with the government initiatives to better the lives of the people. After all, what exactly is the role of government? Ensuring that the people are safe, sound, and secure, and they also can thrive.
All right, Mr. Rav. How has His Excellency been able to navigate the world of rural development? Because that's also one of his core something. And how does he communicate in the development of Akwa Ibom State in terms of movement of goods and services? I
would imagine that you're asking that simply because this is a television program and you have to ask that question, because it is very obvious that His Excellency is very rural area oriented. We can see a lot of the rural development initiatives. First off, you would see infrastructure in the rural area. I've spoken about schools. I've spoken about the fact that His Excellency, through the agreement of the stakeholders in every local government area, started the one per local government area project. I've seen, of course, and a good number of you also know that in practically every ward in this state, about 329 of the INEC wards, we have development that is actually sponsored by the Akwa Ibom State government going on in different areas. We have road infrastructure that is being done. Some of them inherited from the previous administration. A good number of them, of course, started by the current administration. We've seen them being commissioned left, right, and center. We have also people that are taking practically everything that should bother people in the rural area. Is it electricity, their interventions in that area? Is it provision of water? You know, the last time His Excellency went to commission a water project in a local government area, and it was of huge significance. That's an area where I happen to know. That's an area I went to for the first time in 1999, and we actually did not have any kind of potable water at all. You know, sometimes when you live in an urban area, there are certain things you take for granted. You know, you turn on the tap and water just comes out. You do not have an idea the amount of work, the amount of stress some other people have to go through for them to get potable water. And for over 50 years, like we here, that entire community had not had access to potable water. Imagine the number of people that may have died of waterborne diseases. Imagine the number of opportunities that may have been lost. Imagine even the basic convenience of being able to find good drinking water. A basic thing one should be able to take up to at least 6 liters every day, especially if you want to go by what the doctors say. So putting up that particular water project there, you could see the way the people came out to celebrate. The people came out to appreciate what His Excellency had done. It is only those who have experienced it who can tell what really that meant to them. And in practically every area of the state, you would find rural development initiatives by His Excellency the Governor. I've spoken about the fact that the Governor is adopting a bottom-to-top approach towards government as opposed to top-to-bottom, and the people at the lower rung of the economic ladder are the major focus of his administration. And of course, we can see, if you go around the state, and you just do a vox pop, you would find most of the people giving positive reviews about His Excellency the Governor. He is ensuring that those at the lower rung of the society get staple food given to them while they see how they can improve on their agriculture and then begin to feed themselves. He's ensuring, of course, that there is education that is provided at that level. He's ensuring that primary health care is basic at that level. He's working to ensure that security is something that people can actually enjoy even at the rural area, so that those who want to stay back there and involve themselves in agricultural practices or whatever other kind of business they want to do, they can do so without fear of molestation whatsoever. And like I said, this has even been recognized even by the media organizations. We've seen, of course, the Leadership newspaper awarding him Governor of the Year. We've seen this day nominating him for Governor of the Year. We've seen all of the accolades. You know, the last time the president cited him in a national broadcast as one of the governors that is doing very, very well. And this is the president. I like the way you introduced it, that, you know, going by normal Nigerian politics, they belong to different political parties. But like His Excellency the Governor likes to say, the challenges that we face do not know political parties. Okay. Beyond elections, we need to see how we can look at development and see how we can bring our people the dividends of democracy a good number of them have been craving for.
Well, let's look at how the brand Umoino has been easy to sell. I mean, we understand that before he even started this race, there were a lot of dissenting voices. He wasn't marketable. You had a lot of persons having one or two things to say as regards the brand Umoino. But then, over time, the trajectories and the narrative changed. And it was more of the term or phrase, if you may, golden boy, and it flew as high as it could. And so far, amongst the Niger Delta states, you would say that Akwa Ibom is amongst the most peaceful when you talk about political activities. If you were to make comparisons to other states currently, you would see that there are a lot of rancors politically. But then it begs the question: how has the governor been able to stabilize, the sale, and ensure that he's able to interface effectively with the different political sides in the state?
Okay, let me start. You started by talking about all of the attack and all of the things that happened prior to his emergence, and even when he emerged as candidate of the party. You don't find anybody throwing stones to pluck fruits that are not ripe. Everyone that is throwing stones are trying to see how they can pluck fruits that are ripe. That's fruits that people actually want to consume, fruits that are worth the while. So all of the stone throwing, all of the attacks left, right, and center was because a good number of people saw that this was a gentleman who had potential to lead Akwa Ibom, and then there were people who thought maybe he shouldn't be the person. It's normal in a political process, but then that has passed. 2 years down the line, a good number of the people who didn't think much of him are now the ones who are also singing his praise, because they have seen his approach to development, they have seen his approach to governance, they have seen also his approach to relating with people, even in other political parties, ensuring, of course, that we come together to see how we can work to develop Akwa Ibom. I said a minute ago that the challenges we face know no political party. There is no political party that is having it easy when another person is having it hard. We all buy fuel from the same petrol station. We all go on the same roads. If the educational sector is challenged, it's not challenged for members of any political party. If there's development also, it is also not done for any member of any political party. And so His Excellency has diffused the tension politically. He has reached out, he has consulted. And then, there's an expression I love. Somebody once said that we don't need to see eye to eye in order to work hand in hand. So even when there are people who belong in different political parties, His Excellency, through the force of his personality, through personal example, through deliberate acts of reaching out across political lines, has been able to douse the political temperature in Akwa Ibom State, and this has created an enabling environment for development to take place. You have no idea the amount of distraction that actually affects development when there is political rancor. You have no idea how much people would spend in court cases and trying to see how they can deal with conflicts left, right, and center at the expense of development. Even the time that is involved. The amount of time you would be having meetings on how to form, to actually actualize something that brings development to the state. You will be having meetings on how to solve one political problem or the other, reconciliation here and there, and all of those things. We've seen these things happen over the past maybe 20 years, and including even recently in a few states, including neighboring states, Akwa Ibom. But in Akwa Ibom State, the major challenge is how do we speed up the development? How do we deliver dividends of democracy? Because the distraction of all of the political fracas left, right, and center is not there. And that is something His Excellency has been very deliberate about. For the first time in the history of this state, you would find a state activity, a National Day activity, an Akwa Ibom State activity, and you would find people from different political parties converge so that they can work together. If there is a celebration, yes, that celebration actually is across party lines. If there is a significant event, it's across party lines. It is also an excellent example to the generation that is coming under. If you look on social media, the amount of flame throwing that actually accompanies political fracas has come down. Because a good number of people actually just follow the example of their leaders. And if I have 200 followers and I am a leader, and you have 400, and both of us are fighting, we actually have set a fight among 600 people. So it goes beyond both of us. So that means also that we are able to work peacefully together irrespective of political divide. Then the people who are our followers, majority of them also would see the need for our interests to align and converge, and the development of the state being at the front burner. Okay, it is the one thing that a lot of people, including people from other states, have come to admire His Excellency Pastor Moino, and I think it is a perfect example, and there are so many other people who should copy it.
Well, I need to add this caveat, because some people are asking, how long can he keep this up? I mean, the political season is approaching. He's definitely going to have to take a side. So how long do you think he would be able to keep this up?
Well, we'll see how that goes. But then if you know him as a person, first off, he didn't need to do this. Personal opinion. He could have just gone ahead and done his business. But then the fact that, he's a clergyman also, he's a pastor, he believes also that you can you can cohabit with people despite the fact that you have different political ideologies. And he personally espouses it. So we'll see how far it goes. But trust me, considering the kind of person that he is, even when, I said earlier that we don't need to see eye to eye in order to work hand in hand. When politics comes, we can see how people can play politics and there is decorum and there is decency. What is it about? I'm selling the policies of my political party. I'm selling the candidates of my political party. As far as there are no insults, there are no name calling, there's no attempt to denigrate any other person, as far as we play by the rules. Usually you would find before elections, the electoral body and the ICCS, the security agencies, would call all the political parties together. And everybody will sign a non-violent pact. And a few minutes after we leave, they will find supporters of the people, sometimes egged on by their principals, engaging in fracas and fisticuffs left, right, and center. As long as there is an exemplary leadership, and as long as the person who is at the helm of affairs tells his people, this is how I want us to play this, which is exactly what His Excellency the Governor is doing, I am hopeful and I'm very sure that we're even going to go through the next political phase, and those who are expecting that we're going to have Armageddon would be disappointed. He's a gentleman who has had peace follow him. He's a gentleman of peace. He's a gentleman, of course, who believes that we can play politics without necessarily, after all of us are brothers. And then, of course, what are we looking for? An opportunity to serve. And if you're really looking for an opportunity to serve genuinely, must you fight for it?
So how has His Excellency been able to manage his life as a clergy and also as the governor of the state? And how have you been able to incorporate that part of his life into governance?
Well, first off, that is definitely going to be evident in the way he works, in his training. And in my personal opinion, I think he just has a larger flock to pastor. Before he became governor, he was pastoring maybe 1,000, maybe 2, maybe 5,000 people in his church and the branches. Now he has almost 8 million people who he has to pastor. Because exactly, you could draw some inference and some kind of synergy between the job of a pastor who leads a flock and the job of a governor. It's just that, for me, he has a larger congregation. And we've seen how he has gone about it so far. Of course, he still mounts the pulpit to preach in his church when he needs to. And he's self-effacing and very humble character. He doesn't, he's not that man who tries to put his position, more or less let people know he is governor, left, right, and center. We've seen how simple he is. And then, of course, on the days he needs to be pastor, he is. The days he needs to be governor, he is. And he has been able to draw a very fine balance. And so far, I don't think anybody would accuse him of doing either of them wrongly.
Well, let's look at some of the activities that the governor has embarked upon recently. We know about the Arise Compassionate Homes, which he embarked upon. We know about the Arise Park, primary health centers that he is trying to revitalize and ensuring that they are there. We know about the schools that he is reforming and the policies he has on ensuring that every rural area has one interesting project.
At least one, sometimes more.
One.
Yes.
Well, so let's talk about this. How far has he been able to achieve these? Now, we also know that there's this issue of abandoned roads in the state, which is, of course, a very cardinal. We hear over the radio, people call and say, this particular stretch was started, and all we have are gutters that were dug. And the completion is the issue, or rather, mobilization to site to ensure that those roads are completed. How has the governor been moving in ensuring that roads that are yet to be completed are completed, and with all of these projects that he is embarking upon, left, right, center, how is he committed in ensuring that they are actualized?
Okay, first off, His Excellency has proven to be an excellent manager of resources, and even anybody who doesn't like him at least will not take that part from him. We've seen the way he has been able to manage the resources of the state so far, and then the results are also there. As regards projects, he's also committed to completing as many, if not all, of the projects he inherited, including the ones I also actually started during his administration. There has to be priorities, and there has to be a number of factors that are taken into consideration into deciding which one gets priority attention. There are abandoned projects left, right, and center, not quite as many, but if you look at the budget this year, you would find that a good number of those abandoned, so-called abandoned projects are projects that monetary provision has been made for. And then, of course, the supervising ministries and the supervising agencies of government are doing their best to see how they can get this to work. The one thing you can say is this: there is no administration that can deal with every single challenge at the same time, because the resources do not come at the same time. Even if you have the financial resources, there are human resources, there are other factors that are actually involved in development. So there has to be phased development. So at the moment, over 100 roads all across the state are being constructed at different times. And I'm very sure that by the time those ones are being done with, and they will not be finished at the same time, as they finish, they will take on more of those projects. If it is about his commitment to completing projects, that is unshakable, that is unshaken, is a commitment he has made publicly. If it is about ensuring that, because like I said, irrespective of who started the project, the beneficiaries of the project are the people of Akwa Ibom State. So if there are people who have some of these challenges, and yes, they are, we'll just hope that they would exercise patience and, of course, keep faith with the administration, and also try to see how they can walk through the people who represent them at the different levels of government, in the legislature also, and the people they know in the executive, to ensure that maybe there are periodic reminders, because, a good number of these challenges still come to one person. His Excellency the Governor and the members of his team are human. And as humans, maybe there could be times where people may need to put in reminders to ensure that budgetary provision is made for these projects. And then, of course, the implementation is something that you can be sure that as long as there was proper budgetary provision made for it under the current administration, you can go to the bank that it will be done.
Well, Mr. Rab, the Excellency has set aside 1 day for workers to go to the farm to ensure food sufficiency.
Actually.
2 days to ensure that workers, to ensure food sufficiency. So what are the strategies put in place to ensure that they go to the farm? Some people might just take it as holiday.
Well, yes, that's an excellent point. First off, it's not just workers per se. The farm day is for everyone, and then it is something that one expects that you would understand the importance of getting yourself involved in agriculture without anyone necessarily needing to coerce you. The bulk of the things that some of us go to the markets to procure for our daily needs are things that those who have got spaces behind them can plant them, can cultivate them. They're not rocket science. Pepper, water leaf, vegetable, all kinds of things. A good number of us know how to do it. It's just that for some reason we have become dependent on food that comes from outside the state. His Excellency, the former governor, used to say that sometimes if there's a challenge in some of our neighboring states that produce food, you will find a shortage of food in the major markets here in Uyo. And there's almost no Akwa Ibom family that doesn't know how to process gari, from cassava to gari, or fufu, or practically everything that we get. So it is government encouraging people to go back. I do not think that there is a mechanism for monitoring or for coercing anyone. But if everyone understands that food is something that's important, is a staple, and we need it, and His Excellency has graciously given time for people to dedicate to that particular venture, which is something that every single one of us needs, because no matter who you are, you cannot survive without food. I do not think we need too much encouragement to get people to. All I hope is that through initiatives like this, through the media, through different organizations, we can get people to understand the need to key into agriculture. And more importantly also, those who have got the means, those who have got the aptitude should also begin to see agriculture as a business. Because for too long, so very many of our parents have seen agriculture just as a means for food. And subsistent farming has been what a good number of us engage in. But the places that we the places that we wait for people to bring food from, I have friends who own large rice plantations. A friend of mine owns a cocoa plantation that gives him more money than a good number of people who wear long ties and go and sit down in government offices. So it is for people to see the value chain in agriculture, the importance of agriculture. The Ministry of Agriculture, of course, provides the technical support, provides seedlings, provides, of course, fertilizer when there is a need, provides, of course, chemicals, provides all kinds of farming inputs, provides even technical assistance.
Just need to take advantage of
now, yeah, and I'm going to tell you this, and this is not because I'm a government official. I have a farm somewhere. There was a time I wanted to cultivate something. I went to the Ministry of Agriculture. The former Director of Agriculture attached someone to me who provided technical assistance and helped us, with what we wanted to do in the farm. Those are services that are available in the Ministry of Agriculture. But how many people take advantage of it? So Akwa Ibom has got, just like Nigeria, a large chunk of arable land. We should not be complaining about food. And then, of course, the administration, because one of the things you notice is that most people expect government to do everything. Government has shown you that you can actually plant cabbage in Akwa Ibom State in commercial quantity, or tomato, or rice, or onions, or this or that, and then you can make money from it. The next thing, we wait for government to come and still do it for us. The knowledge is there, the technical support is there, the inputs have been given. We still expect that government will now come and because you hear people say government should set up farms and this. Yes, government will do that. But the truth is that there is no government that can provide food exclusively for all of the people without the support of the populace. It is that support now that we're hoping that the citizens will see the need for them to engage in it, and then it becomes a win-win situation. Government will do its bit, We do our own bit, and in the long run, we're all the better for it.
All right, Mr. Edem, let me just get a quote from you as regards what's happening within the civil service in the state. We know the biggest headline now, it is the minimum wage. And a lot of commendations have trailed the fact that the governor accepted to pay 80,000 naira, which is, of course, an improvement from what the federal government allotted, which is 70,000 naira now. Recently, there's been issues, back and forth issues between the labor and the state government as regards implementation of the minimum wage. And just recently, yesterday, the governor had made that statement that payments should be made to persons that have been verified within the civil service. How is that coming along? And how would you appraise the governor's moves and how he has been able to manage the situation so far in just 3 minutes?
Like I said, if there's one person that you give it to, as far as issues like this are concerned, welfare issues, His Excellency is so welfareist that at a point some people have started accusing him of being too welfareist. And his commitment to workers' welfare is not in doubt. I was at the carols in December where he made the announcement. But he said that there was going to be a need for verification, but committed that when they want to start paying, the payment is going to begin from November. And there was a huge, applause. And then he's the one person that you can take his word to the bank. I do not know whatever issues you're referring to, but as far as I know, His Excellency the Governor has been very clear that when the report of the verification committee is presented to him, that of course those who have been verified, because there's been quite a number of changes over, a number of people have jackpot and so far. So very briefly, yesterday, that report was presented by the head of civil service, who was the chairman of that committee, and then His Excellency, of course, has committed that those who have been verified, that beginning this January, you understand, we'll actually get paid the new minimum wage of 80,000 naira, which is the Akwa Ibom minimum wage, or if you like, the Umoina minimum wage. So if you ask me, I think it's a good time to be a civil servant.
Indeed. Well, Senior Special Assistant to the Governor on Brand Management and Marketing, thank you very much, Mr. Raphael Edem, for being a part of Niger Delta today.
Thank you very much.
It was good talking to you.
Oh, same here. It was good. I hope to come back here.
Thank you.